Hello, this is Module 10 of Marriage Counselling and Management course. This module focuses on marriage laws, global practices, and modern developments. So, it is actually a comparative survey of legal systems and future trends in marriage counseling. So, you are welcome. Marriage, we've seen that marriage is both a personal relationship and a legally regulated institution. And laws vary dramatically across different countries. So this model provides a global perspective and looks forward to emerging trends that will shape the counseling profession. Now, the contents in this module include marriage laws in Nigeria and Ghana, marriage laws in the USA, Canada, and Australia, marriage laws in UAE, China, Russia, and Brazil, and also recent developments in marriage and family life in Nigeria. So let's talk about marriage laws in Nigeria. We've looked at some of them previously. Like we have the one called the statutory marriage or the Marriage Act, which is monogamous in nature. And couples or an individual can go into it from age 21, 18 to 21, but with parental consent. It is internationally recognized. And in the case, if you want to divorce, it will require high court decree. Then there's what we call customary marriage. This marriage is governed by ethnic customs, potentially polygamous, and but family consent is also very essential. It is recognized under Nigerian law but may not be recognized internationally. Then aside that, we have what we call Islamic marriage, which is called the nikah. This is governed by Islamic law and is also potentially polygamous, up to 4 wives. Okay? So bride's consent is required through wali, while divorce follows Islamic procedures. Now, the key limitation is customary or Islamic divorce does not dissolve a statutory marriage. So a couple who had both types must obtain statutory divorce through the High Court. All right. So let's talk about recent Nigerian legal development. Like we talk about Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, that is VAP Act of 2015, which criminalizes domestic violence and prohibits forced marriage, female genital mutilation, and harmful widowhood practices. Although it only applies in FCT and states that have domesticated it. So then they will have what we call the CRA, the Child Rights Act of 2003, which sets minimum marriage age at 18 years and prohibits child marriage and betrothal. But it has limitation because it is only domesticated by about half of Nigerian states. Then there is what we call Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act 2014, which criminalizes safe-sex marriage, civil unions, and cohabitation by same-sex couples. All right. So let's talk about marriage laws in Ghana. Marriage in Ghana also relates to that of Nigeria. But the key difference from Nigeria is that their Child Rights Act nationwide, Children Act of 1998, it has state-by-state variation. And their customary marriage registration is possible via Registrar of Marriages. And same-sex marriage prohibited but not explicitly criminalized for adults in the same way. In Nigeria, it is seen as a criminal act, but same-sex marriage, although it is prohibited in Ghana, it is not considered as a criminal act. Now, Ghana and Nigeria share very similar legal structures, only for these simple differences. Alright, let's talk about marriage laws in USA, Canada, and Australia. Okay, like same-sex marriage is legal, you can say that. Also in Canada, and the minimum age is typically 18, okay, or younger if parental consent is being sought. Then there is what we call no fault divorce, which is available in all 3 countries, where couples can decide to divorce even without any fault. Okay. Then polygamy is illegal in all these countries. Polygamy is seen as a criminal offense in USA, Canada, and even Australia. Now, common laws marriage Is recognized in some US states and Canadian provinces. Okay, but it's limited in Australia. Now, these countries present the most legally permissive environment for diverse relationship structures. So many Nigerian clients may have married or lived there. So if you have a client that lives or stays in these places, you have to know their perspectives and their laws to know how to properly render counseling services. Now let's look at marriage laws in UAE, China, Russia, and Brazil. Most of these countries are Muslim dominated, so Islamic marriage is practiced. Okay, but in China, the highest minimum age global is 22 for men, 20 for women. You know, civil marriage is only required. Polygamy is illegal. Then same-sex marriage is not recognized. Okay. Then in Russia too, same-sex marriage is constitutionally prohibited. Then for Brazil, same-sex marriage is legal. You can see that, but no for divorce immediate. So these countries show the spectrum from polygamy permitted in UAE to same-sex marriage, which is legal in Brazil, to constitutional prohibition in Russia. Okay, same-sex marriage is constitutionally prohibited in Russia as a 2020 amendments. Okay. Now, let's talk about social developments affecting marriages in Nigeria. The concept of marriage or how people view marriage is changing, even without legal reform. Now, there's a rising age at first marriage. Women from between 18 to 20 in the 1970s, now to the current is women between 22 to 25. Then men before 25 to 27, but now 28 to 32. So the drivers include education, career focus, economic barriers like payment of bride price, housing, and there is a general decline in marriage rates relative to population. Proportion of never married adults in their 30s increased and is increasing, especially in Lagos, Abuja, and other big cities. And there is also increased acceptance of divorce, although still stigmatized, but less severely than a generation ago. Divorce is seen as a normal thing now. Then there is a rise of living apart together. Professionals maintaining separate residence by choice or necessity. Then there is the proliferation of technology and dating apps like the Tinder, the Bumble, used for relationship formation. There's also economic pressure, such as inflation, bride price inflation, especially Igbo and Yoruba, and also housing costs. So this social change is happening, even where laws remain static. So counselors must adapt to this new reality. So in your counseling, you must also have this at the back of your mind. Okay, so if you are going into marriage counseling as a career or as a professional practice or as a business, you have to note all this. Okay, let's now talk about future trends, technology and digital transformation. They are in this era of AI and other apps. Okay, now you have to now find a way to take advantage of technology like telehealth and online couple counseling. You can use hybrid models like you do in-person counseling and also continue online. Okay, then there's increased access for rural couples, but the challenge is managing conflict from a distance is is not easy. Confidentiality and there will be issues with confidentiality, and what if there are technical disruptions? Maybe there is no internet, or there is a breakdown of the system you are using. Then artificial intelligence in relationship support, use it with caution, because AI powered relationship assessment tools can help you analyze communication patterns. Chatbots for basic relationship education, but it is not a replacement for therapy. Don't forget, it's a support, it's a complementary tool, but not a replacement. So, but the challenge with using all these things is ethical concerns such as data privacy, algorithmic bias, and depersonalization. There are apps and digital tools that couples can use, like relationship tracking apps, such as lasting, couple game, love nudge. Then there's also conflict management via structured app communication. So future counselors may decide to prescribe or integrate these tools. Don't forget, technology is not a replacement for skilled counseling. It serves as a support. So in this era of uh, technology and digital transformation, as a marriage counselor, you do not have to totally rely on technology. Use technology as a tool and not a replacement for your skills and competencies. Okay? So, and there are other issues. There is changing relationship structure that is happening beyond the traditional nuclear family. Like there is delayed marriage and cohabitation. Premarital cohabitation is increasing. So as counselors, you need expertise in preparing cohabiting couples for marriage. you know then there is same-sex couples where legally permitted, in countries that are permitted. You need to demand for counselors competent with minority stress, coming out, and legal complexities. Then in polyamory and consensual non-monogamy, small but growing minority, counselors need knowledge of ethical non-monogamy frameworks without pathologizing. So it is important. That is why you have to study. You have to always update yourself so that you will not you understand and know what is happening and also future trends. Okay, blended family, remarriage with children from previous relationship. It now poses complex dynamics, and loyalty conflicts. So you need to know how to balance that. Then there is a growing increase in single parents by choice, by assisted reproduction and even adoption. There is also multi-generational households returning due to economic pressure. So the standard marriage is no longer the only model. So as counselors, you must be competent across diverse structures. Okay, so we've talked about the integration of different technology. There are also emerging therapeutic approaches. So the future counselor is neuroscientifically informed, trauma aware, brief, and culturally humble. All right. So the days of the general marriage counselor are numbered. So find your niche, build your deep expertise. You can be a specialist. Your focus may be on handling infidelity. You can also have counselors that are premarital counselors. We also have what called divorce coaches and mediators, online couples. So you should find a niche for yourself. You can be a trauma informed couples therapist. So try to create a professional niche for yourself so that you can build deep expertise. Okay. Now there are a lot of challenges facing this profession. Because one of it is access and affordability. Evidence, there is a gap between evidence and practice. There is technological ethics, issues of confidentiality in online platforms, data security issues for session recordings and notes. So know your limitations. Don't forget, when you need to refer, please refer, and always stay current. Okay, always stay current. So thank you for completing this course. You now have a comprehensive foundation in marriage counseling, from local practice to global perspective, from current realities to future trends. So go serve couples with competence, compassion, and courage. Thank you.